This is Tony from her Homestead Skills. And today, well, I've got a few things I want to discuss. Okay, so many of us here have been very busy, probably over the last 2 years, 2.5 years, canning, dehydrating, preserving in any number of formats. All kinds of food that you may have grown in your garden, that you have raised on your farms, that you have purchased from stores. And so now you have a nice little nest egg put away. We've all been very concerned about what the future holds, and that's why most of us have been doing this. And some of us, although we've always preserved some foods, a lot of us have ramped up that process over the last few years. Some are just brand new at it and still just trying to learn, and realizing that there are a number of different methods of storing food long term. And, you know, we all utilize some more than others, are more comfortable with some methods more than others. So anyway, we do what we can. We stash away what we can. And now what? Now we think that we are prepared for what may come. At least that is what we're intending. We're trying to make sure that we are prepared for an eventuality where there is minimal amounts of food. Okay, so here we are. We've got our food stash. We're comfortable. We know we're going to be okay for a little while. Maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 20 years. We all have our goals, and we've set our ideals of what we think we need or may not need. Then the issue always becomes what happens when that day comes. Okay, so we are all hoping that day will never come. But what happens when it does come? What happens when that day that you've been preparing for, that you've been stocking food up for, happens, and the massive public begins to realize that they are not prepared, that they only have enough to last them 2-3 days, a week or two at best? What happens then? Okay, we've known that farmers have warned us for perhaps even a year now that there are issues. They've had to slaughter some of the animals that they probably would have kept for breeding for the next season. They've had issues where they've had to plow fields under rather than grow crops on them for various reasons. There are a number of things that they've warned us about that a lot of us have perhaps not listened to. Maybe some of us have, but the majority of the population go to the store and they see, I go to the stores and I see full shelves. I see nothing to worry about. The only thing that I see to worry about are higher prices. And yes, those higher prices are difficult for a lot of people on fixed budgets to deal with. Many people have cut back on luxuries, what they eat, what they don't eat. I've always cut back. I've always been a scrimper and a saver, so it's nothing new to me. Doesn't really hurt me, doesn't really affect me. Just cut back again. I think I just had a very short lull there where, if I spent a few extra dollars, it was no big deal. But it appears that those days are over now too, and it's back to scrimping and saving, and that's okay. I'm very much accustomed to that lifestyle, and it doesn't hurt me at all. So, but there are people that didn't have those few extra dollars to begin with, and I can say honestly that it's only been the last few years where I've had that, what I call that luxury myself. So that is going by the wayside now as well. Okay, so I don't think too many of us have thought of what we would do when that day comes, when the panic starts to set in. Are you going to go out and be in the crowd and see what happens, or are you going to hunker down in your homes and try to avoid it all? I know the last time, or should I say the first time, that I noticed panic in the stores, and it was a few years ago, during the toilet paper run. I did go out. I was in the midst of it when it occurred, and I was rather shocked by what I saw. Yeah, people were panicking, and that was just a mild occurrence that actually went away pretty quickly. But what happens when it becomes serious and it lasts longer than a week? I mean, that didn't really last all that long. People they panicked for a few days, and then after that they were reassured that everything would be okay, and little by little everything was okay. Store shelves were restocked. They were depleted almost as quickly as they were restocked, but they were restocked until it got to the point where they stopped being depleted, and people started being comfortable again that store shelves were full and there was nothing wrong. So what happens when that occurs again? And I don't think that next time it's just going to be an issue of a toilet paper run. I think this time they'll probably be looking for food. So what do? I don't think any of us have thought about what we would do. Certainly I would be thinking of my family first, making sure that they're okay, and then making plans after that with my family. But other than that, I don't think I even know what will happen. I don't know what will happen. And don't know how long it will last. Don't know if I've prepped enough. Don't know how ugly things will get. It wouldn't be the first time that society has collapsed and things got very ugly. We don't expect it. Everything has been quite well managed, probably in North America for the longest time. Our generation has not seen any real tragedies. And I always said that to myself, that my generation was actually lucky that in where I come from, I have seen no tragedies, no wars, no excessive deaths, this last 2 years have probably been the worst that this generation has seen in North America. And our children probably have been, to a large degree, mollycoddled, spoiled, and nothing wrong with that. I really think that you should spoil children, but at the same time they should also understand that they are spoiled, and that things may not always be so rosy. Now, I did speak to one of my children, and she said they're fine. Well, I speak to all of them, but yeah, they're all okay. But one of them said, yeah, we're fine. Neither her or her mate came from wealth. I mean, she's my daughter, she certainly didn't come from wealth. And although they're probably doing quite well now, she said they're both capable of cutting back, and they have no qualms about doing that. So that's fine. If they have to cut back on the luxuries that they have enjoyed the last little while, they're quite willing to do so, and it won't hurt them. So, okay, that's the right attitude. But how ugly can it get? How deep can it get? We know that the governments have been trying to get control of the population We know that they're trying to do to us what the Chinese and the Iranians are doing to their population. It hasn't succeeded here, but there certainly has been attempts to get that much control, and the population is starting to fight back. They won't be locked down. They won't be made to follow restrictive laws without there being consequences to those that try to push them in that direction without justification. And we ask questions, and we want to know, and we want the truth, and we want answers. Not happy with, yes, our fearless leader tells us to do this and we will obey. We're not that kind of society. Sadly, some are, whether it's out of fear or whatever the case is. I think in the US you're pretty lucky to have the Second Amendment. That tends to keep things at bay. Yes, and a couple of interesting things that are happening as a result of our truckers' convoy, talking about those that object to lockdowns and control measures that are excessive. The inquiry is still ongoing, and Tamara Litch, who was one of the claimed organizers and one charged with being an organizer, and whatever charges were laid against her, she is testifying today. At the same time, in Alberta, we have 3 individuals who were charged with the blockade, organizing the blockade that prevented goods and services from going across the border. And interesting enough, reported the fact that hundreds and hundreds of truckers are driving to that courthouse to support those 3. Now, whether those 3 were instrumental and were the ones that encouraged the blockade, I don't know. I mean, they know. But they were the ones charged with that offense. So, and they were the ones that will have to face the fines, and they could face up to 10 years imprisonment. So there is a slew of truckers going out to support them. And so they should. They were all in it together. They should still stay in it together. Okay. Yes, we've got enough things going on in our own little corner of the woods here. Also, the proposed school worker strike is happening. Apparently they have gone out, even though their strike is considered illegal, and each one of those people could be faced with a $4,000 daily fine, and the union has stated that they will pick up that fine. So obviously somebody's got a lot of money. Anyway, I'm for the children. I think the children have been put through enough the last 2 years. Fortunately, only 2 of my grandchildren are affected by this, and sadly, one of them does not do well unless they are in a classroom environment, and the other one she does okay. The last ones are still too small. So, yeah, I still do have grandchildren that are affected by this, and as do most people, but anyway, lots happening. People are protesting all throughout Ontario for the school workers. People are supporting the truckers in Alberta. Anyway, too much is going on. Yeah, interesting times. And in the U.S., of course, you've got your elections this week, early next week. Good luck to you all. I hope they prepare for the worst and hope for the best. This is Tony from her Homestead Skills. Hope you enjoyed this little update, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.